Guys, Monish just messaged me saying Harsh hasn't received a mail yet. Can you please check?
I've sent it to him. I'll just see if I can ping you the link or something. One sec.
Good afternoon, Ankita.
Hi, Harsh.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, Rohit, just quickly check sound and frame, and then we should just launch it for public.
It looks fine, yeah. I mean, sound, it's quite audible to me.
Okay.
Okay, so Harsh, we're good to go. Shall we let people in?
Sure. So shall I be online or shall I leave?
Yes, be online and just put off your video and audio.
Okay, fine, done. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
thanks. Thanks.
The light is okay?
Sorry, what did you say?
The lighting is okay?
The lighting is fine, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Actually, sorry, just so you ask if there is any additional lighting that you can have facing you, maybe which falls on your face, it will help, but otherwise it's fine. It's not
Uh,
a big blocker.
I have one. I'll just show you. Just give me a second. So this is one more, but just the problem with this light is it is just coming, if you see, on the left
Yeah,
hand.
yeah, it's behind you actually. What about, are those curtains on your right? Like, do you think you can lift them and get some natural light into the room?
Okay. This is okay. But again,
Yeah, there's a slight.
okay, that the earlier one was
Yeah,
okay.
then I think it's fine. Yeah, let's stick with that and we can start then.
Sure. I'll just put it.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks. Rohit, we are good to go. Hello and welcome to the Cred Club. Cred Live sessions are curated exclusively for Cred members. Conversations, interactions, and guided sessions with some of the most celebrated industry leaders, experts, and artists across various fields will be brought to you in the comforts of your home. Before we introduce our guest for today, we'd like to lay out a few house rules for this session. We recommend you use earphones or headphones or a Bluetooth audio device for best audio quality. Please put all your questions in the Q&A tab. You will have the option to be anonymous if preferred. Members are requested to maintain decorum in their engagement with the guest and the CRED team on the Zoom call to ensure a smooth experience for everyone. And now, without further ado, let's talk about the session today and what we have in store for you. This session is brought to you by Man Matters and CRED. In this session, psychologist Dr. Harsh Pandya will introduce you to the various types of sleep disorders, along with the different steps of acknowledging symptoms and the root causes behind it. He will also address different effective solutions and tips and tricks to overcome the negative effects of suffering from a sleep disorder. Dr. Harsh will be also answering as many questions as time permits throughout the session. Please put them in the Q&A tab, which you may be seeing at the bottom of your Zoom call window. Here's to putting your worries to sleep. With some cheer in the chat section, let's welcome Dr. Harsh Pandya.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you so much, Ankita, for that. So let us begin with the session that we have today, which is on sleep disorders. So before we start with the session, as she correctly said, so yes, you can certainly use the chat box, and whenever you feel you have a question, so what I'll do is I'll make sure that whenever I'm trying to address a particular question, I'll also give you the particular explanation on that. Okay, so let us begin with the sleep disorder that we have. So before we begin with sleep disorder, I want you to understand, why do we sleep? Sleep is one of the most important part of your, I'll say, regular routine. There are three main important parts due to which we go to sleep. The first part is something which is known as for your body restoration, such as your metabolism and other functions that go around in your body. Second is something which is known as energy conservation. So your body needs to conserve that particular amount of energy. And the third and the most important part is your brain functions. Now, as we all know that your brain functions are covered with different neurons, and some of the neurons are only active when you go to sleep. When we say a sleep disorder, so a sleep disorder is something, a particular individual facing a problem going to sleep or unable to sustain the sleep for a particular duration of time. So there is something where lies, that is something which is known as the sleep disorder. Now, sleep disorder, depending on an individual, it will differ from person to person. Okay. Now, before I guide you and give you more information on sleep disorder, I'll just explain you the stages of sleep. That is very essential first you to know that at what stage you are facing a problem. So your sleep goes through a total of 4 stages. Okay. In technical term, it is known as REM, where you have rapid eye movement. And in the different part, the second part of that is something which is known as N1, N2, and N3. Now, a person who is firstly in his N1 stage is something which is just like in other terms, in layman terms, you can say it's a light sleep. Okay. Now, generally what happens, I get a lot of questions from people. They say that I want to go to sleep, but I'm very sensitive, which means even if there is a light sound, I'm awakened. Even if it is light sound or someone comes and just kinds of touch me and I just get up from the sleep. N1 sleep is something, in technical terms, it is controlled by the theta waves. What happens is, it is responsible for you to give you certain hallucinations before you go to your N2 sleep. So N2 sleep is something where your complete body is paralyzed and your brain only remains active, where your brain processes a lot of dreams. That is your second stage of sleep. And the third stage of sleep is something which is known as N3 form of sleep. So what is N3 form? N3 form of sleep where your body does not react, and even if your brain, just like, certain people have a disorder where they walk during their sleep time or they talk while they're sleeping. So that is something which is an uncontrolled hormone which happens in your N3 level of sleep. Okay. And the last, once all these three stages go through, then you have your REM sleep. That is your fourth and the final stage of sleep. And again, depending on the sleep, it continuously goes either to N1, it can come to N3, it can come to N2, depending on an individual. Okay. Now, for me to touch base more on sleep disorders, the most common sleep disorder that most of the people, just like before I started the session, I just saw a question from a person. He said he's just able to sleep for 4 hours in a day. Okay. So now when we talk about a very primary sleep disorder, which is insomnia, insomnia is something which is of two types. First, a person unable to go to sleep, or the second is a person who is unable to continue the duration of the sleep. So it impacts your quality and quantity both of the sleep continuously. Okay. Now, when we address a particular question, for example, if I address the same question, so when a person is unable to go to sleep for 4 hours, means unable to sustain the sleep after 4 hours. So first, we need to understand what are the things that is disturbing him to going into sleep. Now, let's take an example, as I said, of insomnia. So in insomnia, it is something which happens to every individual depending on the age group you are into. Generally, if you see a teenager or if you see a person who is very young adult, this kind of people usually like to sleep for more number of duration because their body and their age demands that particular time. Secondly, if you are someone in an age group from 30 to 40, generally the sleep, we say it is 8 hours, but generally if you calculate your weekly sleep, it will come to around 6.5 to 7 hours in that part. Okay. And the last, the person who is 50 plus or who is now just going to be reaching 60 years of age, generally they are said to have lesser amount of sleep, but to be honest, it depends on person to person and how much sleep your body really deserves. Now, when I spoke about insomnia, I will address very important thing that everyone should know. In our body, we have something which is known as biological clock. Such as, for example, if you work from 9 to 6 regularly, so after finishing your shift, that is 9 to 6, so which means in the morning, you get up by around 6:30, and then you have your breakfast and you finish off certain things. Now, suppose you have a weekly off on Saturday and Sunday, that is your weekends. So generally, you would like to extend yourself for those weekends. And again, when the routine starts, you like to again come back to the routine. What happens to your body is your body takes time to come to a routine. For certain people, they take a duration of 2 weeks. For certain people, they may be able to adjust and adapt this within a week's time. So once your biological clock is set, you understand how is your body reacting to it. Okay. Similarly, why I address the other disorders also, let me take a few questions so that I can also answer the things at the same time. Okay. So I'll take the first question. What I'll do is I'll take at least 2 to 3 questions so that I can address it. And then I'll explain the next section. That is the symptoms, the causes, I'll explain. So I'll answer the first question. So the guy is already said, Mr. Suresh, he says, I hardly sleep for 4 hours in night. Is that okay? And how to increase my sleeping time? Now for this individual, as he said, that he's just sleeping for 4 hours and he would like to increase the sleeping time. Now for that, it will need a furthermore evaluation and analysis as to what has been his case study. For example, if he's been with a person since the last 3 months, he's continually, the sleep pattern has been dropping. So there would be other reasons for that. For example, one of the reasons for such a case, when you have a sudden drop, it may be a constant worry. Second thing is, if you want to improve your sleep quality, it is very, very important on what conditions or on what situations are you trying to consider that to improve. For example, if you are sleeping at a place which is not comfortable, you have a lot of noise around, lot of light around, you're doing night shifts, so these things can certainly impact your sleep. If you want to increase the quality of the sleep and the quantity of sleep, first you need to tell us as to how has been your comfort zone for when you go to sleep. So that is the main important part. How comfortable are you when you go to sleep? Okay. So now I'll take the next question. The second thing is, the person says, will this be uploaded on YouTube? So I think correct people or the correct team will help you with that. Now, the third question is, how much sleep is a must? So as I said, it depends on what age group you are into. If you are someone who is below 18 to 20, you would need more than 9 hours. If you are someone who is between 20 to 35, you would at least need to finish more than 7.5 to 8 hours. Because this sleep, when you give it to your body, it gets divided into 3 parts. The first thing and the most important thing for you is your deep sleep. Deep sleep is something where your body is not moving. That is the best part, where your frontal cortex is not functioning. That is the only time where you're not consciously looking at certain things. Okay. So when we say about sleep, depending on the age you are, that is very much important. Okay. I'll take one more question, then I'll talk about the symptoms. The third question is sleep disorder a hereditary disease? Now, sleep, depending on what kind of disorder you have. For example, if I say narcolepsy, that is one of the sleep disorder. Yes, as of now, the precise cause is not discovered. So yes, it is considered genetic. If you talk about one more sleep disorder, where a person goes through a part which is known as sleep apnea, where suddenly you stop breathing. So for example, you are just going to sleep and you are in your deep sleep, and suddenly you see that you are unable to breathe that particular time. So this particular sleep is also considered hereditary, depending on what particular complexes your family had. Okay. So I'll answer one more, then I'll go to the symptoms quickly. Okay. The third question I have, the next question that I have is how to wake up in the morning, please. So now, if you want to wake up early in the morning, first you need to tell your body is not to force the sleep. If you force yourself, let's take an example. I'll give you a very simple example. You don't know what sleep disorder you have. You feel it's good to get up at 7:30 or 6:37 in the morning so that you can finish off your regular work on time. Now, in order for you to get up early in the morning, you need to first set the biological clock that you have. Because if your biological clock is not set at the right time, you will continuously feel irritated. You will feel frustrated. You will feel an impulsive behavior on anything and everything that come across to you. It should at least take you to 2 weeks of time to get your body, I'll say, focused on the timing that you want to set up. For example, if you want to wake up at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, it is very essential that you go to bed by 10:30. But remember, if you're unable to get sleep within 20 minutes, for example, you're constantly moving, you're not getting the sleep, don't force yourself. Even if you're not able to sleep at 10, do some activity, get engaged into any other things, do some kind of exercise that you want. But remember, before you exercise, at least take 1 hour, 1.5 hour of gap, because if you instantly do an exercise, there is an increase in oxygen content in your blood. And as the oxygen content increases, your alertness increases at certain time. So you need to make sure that there's a difference of 1.5 hour. And I think it should come to a particular point. But when I have to answer this as per a disorder, then I'll need to analyze how many days, how many months you have been facing this problem. Okay, fine. Now let's talk about a few symptoms which are very, very important for you to understand what particular sleep disorder you are facing through. I'll give an example. At the start, I give an example of N1, N2, and N3. Now, these are something which is known as rapid eye movement whenever you go to sleep. Now, sometimes for few individuals, when you are N1 sleep, you're just gonna be going to N2 level of sleep, and you feel a few hallucinations. You feel someone is calling out your name. You feel there is a phone ringing noise. You may feel that you may fall off from your bed. So these are some of the symptoms that may lead you to breaking off your N1 sleep. Remember, if your N1 sleep is not there, definitely you will not go to sleep for certain amount of duration. So in order to fix N1 sleep, I'll certainly discuss about the treatment measures as well. So first, I'll talk about the few symptoms. So this is one of the symptoms. Second symptoms is, I come across a few individuals. They're able to finish off their 9 hours or 8 hours of sleep. But even after they finish that particular sleep time, they still feel that they are not active. The brain is not focused. They have a frequent headache. Now, the place where you get an headache, for example, in the frontal cortex or the back, it is also responsible for a particular disorder that your brain would be going around. Okay, very, very important. Analyze yourself first for the first 2 weeks to understand what is the complexity of the disorder that you're going through. For example, there are a few patients who have pulmonary disorders. So for example, you may have a disorder, a lung disorder. So that can be one of the reasons which can also lead to reduction in your sleep. One of the symptoms, this I'll not say a symptom, this is a symptom which leads to a cause. Depression, a person who is constantly feeling a worry, a person who is having a constant fear of losing, this particular person may also lead to something which is known as a strange and a strong depression. If you analyze, if you have gone through or if you have read about depression, sleep is one of the main factor for a person falling into depression. Okay. When we talk about other symptoms, so now there are certain biological factors that differ from male and female. For example, females who are pregnant, those females may face a few problems with sleep. But remember, that is during just before 4 weeks, the labor starts, and after 4 weeks, the labor ends. So this is the regular period where you have this particular disorder kicking in. But remember, it is natural to have, but not every female will go through it. But yes, this is one of the symptoms which is biologically that you should know if you're a female. Secondly, I'll tell you two more, I'll say symptoms, or I'll say this symptoms can also lead to what other factors in your body. Now, your body generates a hormone that is known as cortisol. Okay. Remember, whenever you have cortisol in high levels in your body will not take the relaxation method in right time. Because as there is so much level of cortisol, even if you want to focus and you want to go to sleep, but your brain is constantly active and your brain is constantly throwing signals in the form of episodes to you. Okay. So what to do at those particular time? It is very, very important that you understand that as you're going through a particular symptom, this symptom is leading to a particular cause. I'll tell you one of the cause with that. A person who is not able to get sleep on time can also increase weight. So I'll tell you, how do you increase weight? Whenever your body is awake, as I told you, there are three important things that your sleep really helps you with. The first thing, as I said, it is about your body restoration. Okay. Just like you have your proteins running around for regular wear and tear of your body. The second thing, as I told you, it's about your energy conservation. Okay. Now, if a person is awake, your brain, because the brain is tired, the brain is continuously sending signals to get new form of energy. Now, in order to get new form of energy, there is a new hormone that is released, which is known as ghrelin. This hormone increases your urge to eat more food in the form of carbohydrates. And this carbohydrates increases your weight, which also leads to certain sleep disorders. Okay. Now, before I go further, let me take a few more questions. So I'll go to the next question. Okay. So I think I've answered this, how to wake up early. Okay. The next question is, what is the best time to sleep and how many hours? I work for EMEA shift to my day ends. Normally by 12 night after completing basic household work and completing by office work by 10 p.m. post which I have my dinner. Now I'll be very honest. The best time for you to go to sleep is something very naturally you need to decide. You know your working patterns, that this is the right pattern to go to sleep. Remember, whenever you want to really go to sleep, there should be few things that you need to take care of. First, the light that you have, if you're sleeping in a bedroom or any particular place, the light should be under controlled conditions, because whenever there is light, your body will feel attentive, even if you want to go to sleep, because this is the natural biological clock that is getting disturbed. Second, when you talk about light, accordingly, you should make sure there is not so much noise in that particular room. Okay. So the best time to go to sleep is you should start by around 11:30, 12. You should go to sleep and try to wake up at least by 7:30 to 8, because as you work for a shift which does not permit you to go to bed before 10. So the natural night and the natural atmosphere is very important. If you feel you're still facing problems going to sleep, use an eye cover. You can also use earplugs. Certain patients of mine use earplugs if you're comfortable with. It will really help you to get disconnected from the regular disturbances that you have from the world. So my recommendation, if your age is between 30 to 40 years of age, at least you need to do more than 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. Okay, I'll go to the next question now. The next question is, okay. The person says, I'm not able to go to sleep without watching a particular website. So now I'll tell you, it is all about the habit that you're making your body to feel relaxed with. Okay. There are a few things that you have to tell yourself before you go to sleep. Now, the first thing is, this is something which is known as stimulus controlled measures to make sure that you are occupied with sleep. The first thing is, do not use your bed other than for sleep. If you want to do your office work, if you want to do your other works, do not use your bed other than going to sleep, because you are giving a command to your body that this particular room and this particular bed, I will not lie down till the time I do not want to go to sleep. That is one. Now, as you have developed a habit of watching a porn website, so what happens is your body will definitely feel or give you that urge when you want to go to sleep. Now, this particular thing is not a disorder. This is something you have developed a habit. Now, what can be, I'll not say to avoid it, but what can be an alternative for that? Try to get engaged in doing something else other than watching that if you don't like it. Okay. For example, the other alternate that you can give it to yourself is, you can try to plan your next day's schedule that time. For example, if you go to sleep by 11, so try to plan to go to bed by 10:30, and this half an hour that you were engaged in watching that particular website, try to write down about what you're going to do the next day. So which means you are giving that time, but you're giving that time for something which is productive. And within 10 to 12 days, the thing should improve for you. Okay, I'll go to the next one. After that, I'll gonna cover the causes. Okay. So the next question I have is, my mind does not feel rested. Even after 7 hours of sleep, I keep on dreaming, mostly feel as it was the normal is still continuing. Okay, I'll repeat again. He's saying that my mind does not feel rested even after 7 hours of sleep. So my first question for you is, in 7 hours of sleep, how many times did you wake up? For example, do you wake up to go to washroom, or for example, do you wake up just as a sudden thing? Because if this is one of the thing where your sleep is again and again getting breaked off, so somewhere I have to check the duration. If the duration is more than 6 to 8 weeks, then this can also lead to insomnia, as you feel very much restless even if you're sleeping for that duration. So which means somewhere your quantity of sleep is somewhat okay, but the quality is impacting. So I want you to monitor yourself. How many times do you wake up? For how many duration is this thing being continued? And then I can tell you what disorder you're going through. Okay, I'll take one more question, then I'm going to talk about the causes. Okay, the next is, I sleep for 9 to 10 hours in a day and would like to reduce to 7 hours. Okay, Pawan. So Pawan, my first question is, what is your age? If you are a teenager, you are doing on a right track. It's natural for a teenager to sleep more than 9 hours. It is something which your body demands for. Do not unnecessarily impact your body to sleep less. As I said, everybody, for example, few people may just sleep for 6.5 hours, then they may feel very productive. Few people sleep for 9 hours plus, but still they are not productive. As your body is productive, do not alter yourself till the time you do not have something very important coming up. If your age is more than 25 or 30, then I would recommend you to reduce that time by looking something that you feel can be productive for yourself. Okay, so thanks, Pawan, for that. Let me go to the next part. So the next part that I'm going to talk about is what are the particular, after this symptoms, which when you have restless behavior, you have irritation, you have impulsive behavior, you increase your anger, what can be the particular causes in detail which can help you to make sure you overcome this thing? Okay, so when we talk about the most important cause, as I said, the most important cause lies in something which is known as few medications. If you are on, there is one of the medication that is most of the psychiatrists they give it to the patients if you're going for certain depressions and anxiety, which is known as SSRI. If you are on certain medications, this medication can also impact you feeling normal and you feeling sleepy at certain times. Second, and the most important thing that I would like to tell to everyone, certain people who do not feel sleep or who initially have symptoms, they start consuming alcohol. So I'll tell you what alcohol does. So everybody knows you have your conscious brain, then you have your subconscious brain and your unconscious brain. Okay. So your alcohol, what it does, it just does one thing. You have a memory of capturing and a memory of identifying. So whenever a person who is a regular into alcohol, it just temporarily cancels your memory of recognition. So the neurons that are passing from one end to other end, they are unable to complete the process and the person does not feel to be conscious at that time. Few people think as they drink alcohol, it is helpful from them, but that is not the actual case. Remember, alcohol is nothing but it is a seductive material that you are making your body habitual with. So by having alcohol, it is, I'm not saying to completely stop it, but you need to make sure how much quantity are you regularly keeping your body habitual with. I have few of my patients and they say they cannot go to sleep if they don't have alcohol. So again, I'll tell you, alcohol is not your treating organ. It is just kind of confusing the organ, that is your consciousness towards memory. And what it does is it creates a blockage so that you feel a bit sleepy at that time. So that sleep is not natural. You are just confusing your organ to make sure that you are not conscious at that particular time. Okay. Limited quantities. Again, I'll not define that word because as we have a lot of people watching it. So I'll not say limited quantities as of now. but I'll say is that may create different impacts. So try not to go ahead with that. Let's talk about one of the important causes for sleep disorders: professional, personal stress that a person goes through. According to the analysis that we as psychologists do, we get at least more than 33% of the patients that really have problems of sleep majorly because of stress. Maybe their work stress, maybe their personal stress, maybe certain things that is not working well in their life. How to overcome it? Whenever you feel you have a stress, if you feel you don't have someone to talk with, please write it down. If you feel you've written it down, still the same thing is bothering it to you, record yourself for a duration. Since how much time you're facing this stress, what is the correct solution according to you? If you are still unable to find a correct solution, my recommend is you should see a therapist. That is one of the biggest factors which will certainly lead to depression. Okay, there is one more thing that I have not covered in this part, but I'll just tell you, that is one more thing that is known as schizophrenia. So that is something somewhere due to sleep and inaccurate functioning of your organs, the internal hormones, it can further lead to creating split brain thoughts. It's not split personality, split brain thoughts. For example, you may see a few people on the road. I'll give you an example. They are talking to someone else which you cannot see, which actually they also cannot see, but that person is there in their head. You may come across a few people that they feel they are on a separate mission altogether. They have a different task to complete. This everything is responsible because of inadequate sleep that a person should get. Okay. Now, before I go further and talk about treatment, I'll quickly take a few more questions. Okay. The next question is, my father-in-law is an insomnia patient and can't be able to sleep without sleeping pills for past 30 years. Now my wife is also developing sleeplessness. Is she getting the father's problem? Now, yes, few things are genetics. Okay. But few things, I'll tell you, they are not genetics. They develop with time, because it completely depends on how a person's duration of life has gone through. Taking about your wife's case, I would recommend, as she is just initially developing the problem, do not recommend her to take medications. Once you start medications, you will not feel you will get addicted. It is same as having an alcohol. Okay. I'll tell you one more example of medication. What can be the disorder? I'll give an example. Right now, as you are listening to me, I'm at a very normal and natural mood when I'm talking to a person. The person who is on medication, for example, this is the person who is on normal mood and the person who is on medication. His feeling of neutral or normal is not the same. If he is talking at this level, he feels you are low. If he feels he wants to feel neutral, he has to be here. So my recommendation is, do not suggest medications directly. Go to a person who is experienced and only then decide whether your wife really needs medications. Otherwise, take a few psychometric tests so that she understands where the problem is and you can fix the problem. Medications are not going to kill your root cause. They are just going to kill the symptoms. She may feel very nice for the first 3 weeks and then she'll not feel natural. Okay, let's go to the next one. Hi doc, I have worked in rotational shift for the past 6 years, but since 1 month, I have permanently shifted to general shift 9 to 6. But I'm having trouble sleeping. I sleep 12 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. It changes each day. Sometimes I start thinking a lot and can't sleep on time. Thanks, Ravi, for that. So, Ravi, see what happens is, as you have worked in a rotational shift, so I'll tell you what happens. There is a very natural hormone. Suppose you are going through a very boring session. You start feeling sleepy. Even if there are a lot of lights, you will start feeling sleepy. Sometimes you are going through a different session which you are not interested with. You start feeling sleepy. Somewhere what has happened is, due to rotation shift, you have worked against the requirement of the body. Now, as you really want to go to sleep, your body is somewhere adjusted to that particular time. It is same. You have made your body addicted to few things. How to cut it short? First, try to make sure that daily you keep a timer to get up at 8:30 maximum. For the first 2 days, your brain will feel a bit different. Your body may react in a different day. For the third day, you will be closer to getting up by 8:30. What happens is, till the time your body does not have a target, your body will not come on the live and the correct, I'll say correct functioning. Just like right now, due to the disease, COVID, a lot of people are working from home. If you have to go to if you have to go to office and get ready, you would certainly get up early and you would manage the time. But right now, people would like to manage the time in a different way. So my recommendation for you is give a target to yourself. Once the target is achieved, then your sleep should come at that particular thing. Okay, so I'll go to the next one. No matter when I wake up, I can't sleep until 2 a.m. Okay, I'll tell you what is that. Now, I don't know what is your age and I don't know what is the duration. If this is, you have monitored for more than 6 weeks, then there is something which is known as sleep dysfunction that happens. So I'll tell you what is it. A person who is unable to get sleep until 2 o'clock, generally that is because your body is somewhere not being able to match the correct temperature, correct environment, and correct sense of comfort. So whenever biologically your body does not match these three things, you will not be able to sleep before 2 a.m. Now what to do? First thing is, you have to make sure whenever you are doing some task, you need to make sure and keep a record how much your body is feeling tired of. If your body is not tired, there'll be no senses sent to the brain and your brain will not feel sleepy. Sometimes even if your body is tired but still the brain feels awake, the only reason is somewhere the brain is unable to function in the right direction because of the biological clock being upset. So I would recommend you to monitor yourself for the for the next 6 weeks. Check how does it go through and then take a decision. Okay, so make sure that your environment, so for example, just like I tell my patients, you need to make sure that the area where you are going to sleep, it is cool, it is welcoming, and it has a lot of comfort. If your mattress is not good, your pillow is not good, the position of the bed is not good, that can also lead to sleep dysfunction. Okay, let's go to the next. After so it was from Arihant. I feel sleepy, but it breaks due to nightmares and I feel to sleep again. This started post-COVID, started in Mumbai. Okay, I feel sleepy, but it breaks due to nightmares. Now tell me, what kind of nightmares are you getting? So, because see, I'll tell you, where does the nightmare start? You have N1 sleep, N2 and N3, and then you have REM sleep. So if your nightmare are happening within 45 minutes once you go to sleep, so then I would like to tell you to write down the nightmares that are going around. Your nightmare is nothing but it is the reflection of what you wanted to do, and it sometimes comes in a form of animation that you want to do but it's still not been done. So I would recommend you to write down that particular episode, check what particular task is not done at the right time that you wish to do, and what is your fear. If you are not tackling your fear, then yes, you are soon gonna get the sleep disorder. Thank you, Aryan. I'll go to the next one. After sleeping for 8 hours, I don't feel freshness in the morning. So Jitendra, as I said earlier, if you are sleeping for the correct duration, your quantity of sleep is good. But Jitendra, you have to tell me what is your age, what is the quality of your sleep, and how many times do you get, or how many times do you wake up during the sleep? Just like there is one more sleep disorder, this is known as sleep apnea, where a person is unable to breathe during the time of sleep. So for me to understand and recommend you something, I would require more details on your case. Okay. So I would recommend you to first tell me how is the quality been impacted, and since how much duration is the quality been impacted, and what are the measures that you have gone through. Okay. Thanks. Now, before I go further, so I'm gonna discuss a few treatment measures. I'll take other questions also. Let me discuss a few treatment measures that are gonna help you with regards to getting the sleep done on the right time. First is, if you are not going through a chronic sleep disorder, if you are just going through an acute sleep disorder. What is an acute sleep disorder? Any sleep disorder which you are facing for less than 8 weeks. That is something which is an acute sleep disorder. Any disorder which you are facing more than 8 weeks is a chronic disorder. Okay. If you are someone who is an acute disorder, then I would recommend you first, and the most important thing is, try to make sure that your brain and body is synced together, which means sometimes your body may feel tired, but your brain is not tired because there are a few tasks that you had listed and you have not completed. So your brain is constantly looking for those answers. Okay. Second part, when you say about the acute sleep disorders, if you are facing a particular sleep disorder and you are facing it for less than 8 weeks, try not to get carried away with alcohol or not to smoke in the evening, because this particular thing will increase the level of unconsciousness for your neurons, which will further be very impactful, which can also lead to other, as I said, causes such as depression. The next thing is, there are a few people who like to have caffeine in a form of coffee or other particular products. If you are someone who is having an intake of caffeine, there are other things such as few people have Red Bull as well in the evening. Try to make sure there is at least a gap for 3 to 4 hours before you're having this particular product. If you are someone who is regularly addicted to coffee or tea, you are having coffee or tea for more than 5 to 6 times in a day, somewhere the caffeine content is so much that you may not be able to justify and get the amount of sleep that you want. So the first thing is, get your nutrition fixed. So I recommend two important things for people who are facing through sleep disorders or who are going through unipolar depression. Try to get lavender for yourself. So I'll tell you what lavender does. Lavender is known as a natural soothing agent. You can get lavender in a form of an air freshener. You can get in a form of a talc powder. You can also get in a form of a deodorant. It is a natural soothing agent which is gonna protect you and help you to feel relaxed. Second is something which is known as, that is a very natural therapy. Therapist would know or a psychologist would know. That is something which is known as applied relaxation method. So I'll tell you what is it. It is a duration of 15 minutes where the therapist will tell you to press different points of your palms and different points of your legs to understand the sensation. What happens with this sensation? Somewhere the therapist is trying to sync your brain with your body. As I told you, if both the information is the same, you'll go to sleep. If any information is not matching, even if you're tired, you'll not go to sleep. Okay, that is something which is known as applied relaxation therapy that we at Man Matters, we do it. So it's a duration of 15 minutes. The next therapy, which is very natural, you should either go with the talk therapy or CBT. CBT is very useful and it has given us more than 71% results where a person does not go into medications. Okay, so this treatment measures are going to be very helpful for you to make sure that you're naturally able to control the disorder that you're going through. Okay, when I talk about the stimulus control disorders, so first, as I said, do not use your bed for anything else. Use your bed just to go to sleep. Second, maintain a natural cooler environment to make sure that the environment that you're sleeping for, it's natural, it's comfortable, and it is very much welcoming so that you go to sleep. Third is, as I said, if you still cannot get sleep, use an eye cover use earplugs so that you're disconnected from the world and you are in your natural zone of going to sleep. Okay. Lastly, if you still feel you are unable to go to sleep, do not force yourself. Take a break of 20 minutes, do any other task, finish off any other household chores which are left, and then come back. Okay, so these are some of the stimulus control measures. I also told you that the therapical measures that you should do. So these are both the measures that you can take. Now I'll answer a few more questions. Okay. The next thing that I'll answer is, okay. After this questions, I'll also tell you a few medications, but again, I'll not tell the name because I would not like anybody to take the medications because it needs analysis. Hi, I'm not really sure if it is a sleep disorder. How do I know it for sure? What has started happening is that I have a lot of headache when I go to sleep these nights and can't sleep at all. Now it depends what part of your brain is giving you this headache. This particular headache, is it because of unable to go to sleep, or is this headache because you are trying to go to sleep but it is not coming in the right part? I'll tell you what do I mean. Whenever your brain is in REM process where it is sending you when it is going through metabolism, natural glucose releases, at that time if your sleep is interrupted, you are sure to have a lot of headaches. Now different parts of your brain is going to give you different type of signal. For example, if you're getting a headache in your frontal cortex, so yes, that particular headache will give a different symptom. So my recommendation is, if this is going through since more than 2 to 3 weeks, please see a therapist so that they can give you more precise guidance on it. Okay. Next, when I have to travel so night before I have to travel so night before that I'm unable to sleep. Rohit, I'm sorry, I'm unable to get the question. When I have to travel so night before that I was unable to sleep. Rohit, if you can reframe the question, I'm sorry, I'm unable to get it. I'll go to the next one. I'm having anxiety and fear due to COVID pandemic. This has affected my sleep duration. Okay. Okay. I'm unable to sleep for longer duration and wake up and unable to go back to sleep again. Any suggestions? Now, first thing is, as you said, you have COVID pandemic fear. So what fear you have? Do you have a fear of getting that disease? Do you have a fear where you may get some financial losses? What kind of fear is that? So my recommendation is, take a book and a pen, write down the fear that you have. Once you have written down the fear, your brain has communicated the fear in the form of writing. Okay. And once that particular thing is written, go back to it, try to ask someone, if this fear, how can it be addressed? If you have a fear that you may get the disease, again, do not worry. If you have maintained the necessary precautions, you should not get the disease. But if you feel that you are currently going through a few symptoms of COVID, please see a doctor. Okay. Hi, I'm 31, male. I do not get sleep before 2 a.m. at all from the last 1 year. My lifestyle has not changed in the last couple of years. Is there anything I need to do to go to sleep early? I'm sleeping 6 to 7 hours daily. So firstly, your age is 31, and secondly, you said your lifestyle is the same since couple of years, and you are unable to sleep before 2 a.m. So I want to understand, what time do you feel is the right time for your body to go to sleep? If you feel 11:30 to 12 is the right time for you to go to sleep, what are the challenges that you're facing? For example, if you feel you are not getting the sleep, you tried and you are not getting it. So whenever you're trying to go to sleep, what are you trying to imagine? As I said, if you are not going through a particular disorder, and as you are able to go to sleep and you are able to finish off your sleeping hours, it is just because your biological clock is disturbed. So my recommendation is, try to figure out what particular challenges that you're facing from 12 to 2. Okay, fine. Let's go to the next one. I lost my job last week due to COVID. impact on market. Now I am tensed and unable to get proper sleep. I see weird dreams in the sleep. Please help. I really want to answer this question, Ram Pratap Singh. So first thing is, write down what are your commitments. For example, you have taken a few loans, you have a few EMIs, write down that. Second thing is, write down where you're very good into. For example, if your profession is a manager, what particular direction you are good into. Then you write down is the third thing. That is, once you calculate what are your risks in front of what are your abilities to overcome that risk, so that you understand in what direction you should find a new job. If your direction of the job is correct, where your designation you get the same, then I think you will not get such weird dreams. So the only thing that I'll tell you is, write down your areas of risk, which your EMIs and other things. Second is, write down the areas of your abilities, and then search a job. Once you find a job, this particular problem will go away. It is just because somewhere you're concerned and worried about your future, and it is natural. Thanks, Ram Pratap Singh, for that. Okay, so guys, I'll answer this one, then I'll quickly tell you the last part of medications. I get normal deep sleep most of the time unless there's some stress at work. Those days, soon after I go to sleep, I end up waking with a bad thought, and then it's difficult to sleep for next hour or so. And so continues the cycle. How do I let stress not affect the sleep? So first you have to tell me is, when you say some stress from work or any other thing, so what is that particular stress that is bothering you? Because what this particular stress is doing is, this stress is somewhere getting continued into anxiety. And this anxiety, if you don't solve it on the right time, it may lead to the unipolar depression. Okay. So first thing is, what is that stress? How difficult it is to handle that particular stress? Is that stress in your control? If it is in your control, then try to solve that stress for the first and try to fix it up. Because if you don't feel that particular stress is done, you will continue to have problems with sleep. Okay. So I'll quickly cover the last part. So when we spoke about the treatments, as I've told you, both the treatments in a different way, there are a few medications also. Few people already have medications. Few people are thinking to get medications. Few people are unsure whether to start a medication or not. See, again, as I told you, is medications are somewhere just gonna kill the symptoms. You may feel nice for the first 2 weeks. You may feel your sleep problem is now been resolved. But after a few weeks time, once you stop taking medications, it's going to come back. And that particular problem would be more difficult for you. So my recommendation is, meet a particular doctor, therapist, or a psychologist, a person who can create a case history for you before recommending a medication. Now, just like I'll tell you one of the psychometric tests that you can do it. If you have anxiety and worry, there's an online psychometric test named as Beck's Depression Inventory. That is one. Second is Beck's Anxiety Inventory. So these two tests will give you the accurate purpose which is leading to this stress and anxiety. So my recommendation is, instead of directly coming to medications, try to cut it short to the cause, kill the cause, and the situation will again be normal for you. Okay. So mostly I have tried to cover everything which is very important for your sleep. I tried to cover the symptoms. I gave you an information about sleep. I also gave you some more information about the treatment measures. How does your biological clock works? So let me go to a few more questions. I don't know how much time I have. So the next question I have from Bhavesh. Many a times dreams disturb sleep and it takes time to again go to the sleep. Now again, if that dream is your nightmare, if that is your fear, such as, for example, few people have a fear of height. So they may feel as I said, there's an hallucination that they have, and they may feel they will just fall off from the bed. So this hallucination is natural after the age of 25. Again, you have to tell yourself what particular thing is disturbing you. Once you feel this is the problem that is going to disturb you. Write down that problem, talk to the therapist so that you understand. Because as I told you, N1 level of sleep is going to give you hallucinations. But yes, if this nightmare is striking in N2 level, where you have dreams, you have future plans, you have some incompleted projects, if this nightmare is purposely the same that you are getting, so I think you should need to see a therapist. Okay, thanks. When I try to go to sleep, it doesn't come till 2 to 2:30, and then sudden I woke up by 6:30 to get proper sleep. I tried many things like yoga, chanting God's name, but doesn't help. Okay, a very natural question. So which means your sleep duration is just of 4 hours. See, somewhere this sleep, the disturbance that you have is not only because you are not getting occupied. Somewhere there are other tasks also that you want to do that you are unable to finish, due to which you are not getting sleep. So my recommendation is this 4 hours of sleep that you are getting is just for your body to relax. But for your brain to relax, you need to figure out what are other tasks that you need to complete. Because even if you feel you have completed all the tasks and there is something that is running behind at the brain, your brain will not feel relaxed. So the only thing that I would like to recommend you here is, before you go to sleep, have an acceptance that you, whatever you try to do, the things you have did it today, few tasks that you have, you will try to do it tomorrow and day after. Organize your task, and soon you will realize the tendency of falling into sleep has increased. Okay, so finish off your task, organize it, it should be good for you. How to decrease?
Dr. Harsh, I'm just going to interject here because we're sort of running behind time. I think if you can close the session with some last strategies or some closing strategies, and then I'll jump into do a closing from my end as well.
Sure. So just the last thing that I'll tell you, thank you so much, Ankita, for that. So the last thing that I'll tell you is, do not judge a sleep disorder. Do not assume that you have a sleep disorder. First, try to analyze what is the sleep disorder that you have. So once you've understood this is the sleep disorder that you have, and only then meet that particular person who can give you an expert advice. Sleep is very, very important. You may feel that you discuss with someone, they may give you a few things. It may not be the correct remedy. So the recommendation is, before you come to a conclusion about your sleep, discuss your case with an expert so that the expert can give you the right advice. So again, to reiterate, do not accompany yourself with too much of smoking or alcohol, because somewhere you may feel it's treating, but it's not treating. So try to make sure that you are trying to understand the cause and not just the symptom. And lastly is, once you've understood you are facing this problem for more than 6 weeks of time, meet an expert, get an appointment fixed so that they can help you to get the things done on the right way. So that is pretty much that I'll tell you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harsh, for so many insights and strategies that you shared. I know that 1 hour, 45 minutes is not enough, but you did your best, and I am sure that there's still so much that our members are taking from this session. To all the CRED members who joined us for this session, thank you. We know that we couldn't answer each and every question that you had, but there are a lot of strategies that Dr. here has shared with us, and I'm sure that some of those will be useful, very, very useful to you. However, for a more personalized sort of attention and solutions, as Dr. Harsh said, that it's ideal that you reach out to a personal therapist, and that's when I would like to also mention that Man Matters here, that has helped us organize this session, curate this session, has also just very recently released a one-to-one therapy session package on the CRED app. At any time you feel the need, please sign up. They are very, very accessible, can be availed from the comfort of your home. These are online call sessions. Please reach out to somebody that you feel professionally can help you. And that's what we would like to leave you with. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you so much, Ankita. Thank you everyone for coming through this session and getting the best of that. Thank you.